Hello and welcome. It's the 21st day of March 2023 and you're welcome to another beautiful day to bring you the newspaper review here on TAP TV. My name is Cyril Aloysius and Mr. Victor Sioku is the person once again to look at the papers with me. Mr. Victor, you are welcome.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
How do you do?
I'm all right. Surprisingly, we are both wearing white when Nigerians should be wearing black at the moment.
Right? Because we are mourning, right?
Yeah, we are mourning our democracy.
Remind me what we are mourning again.
We are mourning our democracy.
Oh, that's true. Our democracy.
Man, see, it's not a laughing matter because many persons have lost their lives, okay? It's not a laughing matter. Sorry that...
I think that reminds me of, you know, the talks from Apostle Johnson Suleiman recently that said that Nigeria doesn't have democracy, that what we have is Agberocracy, government of the Agbero for the Agbero and by the Agbero. And it's actually a very funny one because if you look at it from a more critical point of view and a more logical point of view, we should all just come to terms with the fact that he's right. He's right because, you know, when you look at the way things were done, you just concluded the global elections and, of course, the 25th elections, the presidential election on the 25th of February. We saw how things went and, of course, a lot of evidences and reasons for the INEC as a body to cancel the election. But, unfortunately for us, you know, they weren't paying attention to all of this. And it now leaves us with a big question mark as a nation if truly we are really a democratic country, Mr. Victor. Are we really a democratic country at this point? Can we beat our hands in our chest and say really at this point we are democratic?
I don't think so. I think, in fact, the way it's just rolling my head is that, see, can we just go back to the military days? But some person will be like, because I was not really young and vibrant during the military days.
Because truth be told,
I don't know what has happened during that time.
Yes.
But see, it is just so evident that, yes, in the military, one might say that they were too autocratic. But what is happening right now? There is a whole lot of autocracy in this country.
Exactly.
That every governor must use, or most governors use their seats to more like impede on the rights of the people.
Yes.
Yeah. So what are you now facing?
Sanwo-Olu of Lagos State, you know, coming out to congratulate the people for voting him back, thank the people for voting him back into power. And,
when we saw all that happen.
When we saw all that happen, the violence and all of that,
yes.
and Fowles was replying to him that we didn't vote you into power and stuff like that. So I don't know. We at this point of the nation's history, we are in God's hands and we pray that God comes to our rescue. Please,
the God thing. No. I don't want us to be mentioning God about this thing. The same election that a politician, okay, named people, killed people, and came out to say that this election that he's giving is dedicating the result
to God. Oh my God!
I beg. Keep God aside.
So are you saying
at the moment I don't even understand? Let me hold my peace.
And this talk of yours now. Also,
people be talking about God like this.
This talk of yours now. This thing you just said now also reminds me of what Peter Obi said when he was asked on live TV about what his impression, his take on the religious leader's opinion for him to accept the outcome of the elections as God's will and just move on and let peace reign. And he was like, God's will? Now that's the problem we are facing now in this country. The problem we are facing now is that Nigerians are always, you know, quick to accept what is not supposed to be. And that is one of the major problems we have in this country. That he does not agree with the religious leaders. That how can they say that, you know, somebody stealing his mandate is God's will? So are you now saying that if somebody steals your car and ends up taking care of the car very well, so you will not let him have the car and keep it because he's taking care of it very well?
Or steals your child and he says it's God's will?
God's will. So I think it brings about so many question marks again. And I'm like, he's making sense. Because you cannot tell us that it is God's will for this country to still be at this level at this point. Since 1960, over more than 60 years of independence, Nigeria as a country has not been able to, you know, get a single election process right. As simple as an election should be. Election. You know, for over 60 years, as a country, a republic, we have not been able to get it right. that tells you how backward we have been over the years. And and we cannot continue this way if we must make progress. Well, let's not dwell much on all those talks. Let's move straight to the business, the main business of the day, where we'll be bringing you different headlines in different newspapers across the nation. We'll be starting first by looking at the Vanguard newspaper, where we have interesting headlines. And this one here, the boldest headline on the Vanguard here is on page 5, and it says, Sherrif, Yusuf, Nwifuru, Zulum, Mufwang, others emerge governors. Sherrif, Yusuf, Nwifuru, Zulum, Mufwang, others emerge governors. More of that headline, more of that story is on page 5 of the Vanguard. Over here on page 7, we have 78 million Nigerian children risk water-related crisis. That's according to UNICEF on page 7. 78 million Nigerian children risk water-related crisis. That's UNICEF saying on page 7 of the Vanguard newspaper. On page 8 here of the Vanguard, we have EU mission knocks INEC. EU mission knocks INEC. Says violence, vote buying marred polls. EU mission knocks INEC. Says violence, vote buying marred polls. That's on page 8 of the Vanguard. On page 6, we have police confirm killing of 2 officers by soldiers in Taraba. Police confirm killing of 2 officers by soldiers in Taraba. That story is on page 6 of the Vanguard. On page 31, here we have electoral officers escape lynching in Niger. Electoral officers escape lynching in Niger. That's on page 31. On page 11, we have tension in Enugu, Abia, as INEC halts results collation. Tension in Enugu, Abia, as INEC halts results collation. That's on page 11. And lastly here in the Vanguard, we have on page 19, this one says banks borrowing from CBN down 14% to 453.7 billion naira. Banks borrowing from CBN down 14% to 453.7 billion naira. That story is on page 19 of the Vanguard newspaper. That's the much you can take in the Vanguard for today. Mr. Victor, I'd like to get your reactions on the elected governors so far. That's Sherrif, Yusuf, Nwifuru, Zulum, Mufwang, and others.
Are these really elections? Okay.
Big questions.
The
big
elections
questions.
really happen.
Big questions.
Okay, because there are no place in this country or local government in this country, out of the 774 local governments that we have in this country, that there were no elements of violence, both in
Intimidation.
violence,
Intimidation.
Vote
buying.
ballot box snatching, rewriting the result sheets
Using TPEX.
using TPEX and uploading it on the same IREF. The same election that we were hoping that results from the polling units will be reflective on the IREF, so that when collating, they can now match with what they have with the IREF, so that we will have clean results.
And Mr. Victor, you know what's most annoying about this process is that there are evidences, lots of evidences to prove electoral malpractice. And this body called INEC, they are paying deaf ears to it. They are closing their eyes to it like nothing is happening.
But
that is what is most annoying of the issue.
But I can still see some level of confusion with the INEC. Reason? Because these politicians are just too smart. Let me come from one aspect of rewriting results.
Smart?
Yes. Let me come
You
from
call
the aspect
using
of rewriting
TPEX
results.
smart?
Okay. So what then happens? Let's say, for instance, APC, because we'll be hitting hard on APC, but let's just say, for instance, APC won a particular polling unit. Okay? With the result of, let's say, 88. Okay? They won 88. Maybe another party, the best party, or the second best got, let's say, 10. APC 88, right? And 10. Do you know what some of them will do? The PDP might now, due to they've seen that they lost in this polling unit, they will now use pen and add 1 to the 88. And it turns to 188. And when you now check the accredited voters, it might just be around 100. So in a situation where you're not having higher score against the number of persons
accredited voters,
that got accredited, what then happened? You cancel the result. Because of what? One criminal just added one.
Okay.
Are you getting it?
I
So
think.
where will you now put INEC? What will INEC do in a situation like that?
But Mr. Victor, I think so far the handwriting has been so glaring on the wall.
In Igbo, they say Nigeria is Nigeria.
The handwriting has been so glaring on the wall. Not to mention INEC's disobedience of the Supreme Court order.
The problem are many. They are gangantu. They are too
Supreme
much.
Court, the apex court in Nigeria gave an order, and INEC as a body disobeyed it. We are finished. We are finished.
Now, yeah, you made mention of some winners. Yeah, you have Mustwang of
yes, Sherrif, Yusuf, and Nwifuru, Zulum.
Now, okay, Nwifuru. Let me even start with Nwifuru. Nwifuru, Ebonyi State. Okay, mind you, Ebonyi State was formerly PDP, not until the governor now moved to the current governor now moved to the APC. Okay, where I think technically he was thinking that when he moves to the APC, that he will be giving the ticket to be presidential aspirant or presidential candidate for the APC. I think that was his calculation, but it failed him. But what then also happened? He won back. He won for APC. But you know,
did he really win for APC?
No, I'm coming. See, when you check out the geopolitical zone of the southeast, unfortunately, let's face the fact too. Let's face the fact. In as much as yes, one might say we should be voting candidates, not the party. But see, it is glaring, it is the truth that APC does not have stronghold in southeast. Okay? The people on the street don't support APC in the southeast. You cannot compare the same thing with the northwest. We know that in the northwest and the northeast, APC has their strongholds there. Are you getting it? In the southwest, we know that APC is southwest. But when because you now have a governor that is APC, the results you now see that all the whole State House of Assembly, APC wins. All the Guba, APC wins in most local governments.
Even the so-called APC members, party members, most of them are even tired of APC as a party most of the time, because when you take a look at
the genuine ones, not all of them.
Yes, but the genuine ones right now are not many anymore. There are still those few party loyalists, and But if you take a look at the APC government for the past how many years now, nothing to write home about, and you still feel a large chunk of the country's population will still be pushing for the same government.
Yes,
it is not logical. It is not reasonable.
APC has
yes,
sent Nigeria.
We are not denying the fact that APC as a party would still have some loyalists and supporters, but with what Nigerians have seen under the government of APC for the past 8 years, definitely that followership, as they once had before they came into power a few years ago, would not be that much anymore because of how badly they performed as a government. It is very, very normal for any party to lose so much, confidence and, so much followership when eventually they don't perform. It's very, very normal for, even your loyalists, some of them to switch to other parties who they see as more competent and all of that. So I don't get this whole thing of, because it is now so glaring that it was rigged. The elections were rigged, they were manipulated, and it becomes so more heartbreaking when you find out that the government, Mr. President, isn't even doing much. He's not saying much, he's not doing anything, he's doing little or nothing about the situation, seeing clearly that, okay, this thing is not good, is not genuine, there are so much proofs of electoral violence, people have died, and you still fail to call out the faults of INEC chairman, and you're telling me you want everybody to believe that you, as a human being, have not been compromised. Well, let's see.
I also want to mention, yes, I've been talking about the APC. What about in a place where the PDP has lost its followers in Abia State? It's just too evident that the PDP in Abia State, through their series of bad leadership and bad governors.
Man,
Okay,
you just need to feel for Abia State right now.
What has happened in Abia State now, or what is happening in Abia State now, is just so confusing, and man, the common man is just losing hope.
I think Abia State needs an angel right now to come and rule them.
That even before an election, that the mood of the people are against this particular governor. At the end of the day, the governor will now use the force and now force himself and his people or his henchmen force themselves inside, so that the people, they will force their rights on the people.
And Mr. Victor, you know what's more annoying? You know what's more annoying about this situation is that the people who are seen as oppressors in this case are even the minority. That's what is even annoying. And they are doing so because they know that not everybody has guns and weapons like they do.
Yes, but how many are there?
If we are in a society, if we are in a society like, you know, should I use America for instance, that gives us permission to go and purchase a gun.
Oh, is that what you mean? Okay.
Own a weapon and defend yourself.
No, it will be too bloody.
I think it's gonna be too bloody.
Yeah.
And then we'll hardly have issues like this happening.
But even if you arm everybody, which we're not here on tap, we're not trying to
promote violence.
Yeah, but we're just playing a scenario. Now, even in a way that you just say, okay, everybody carry guns. What will then happen when the police, who is the umpire, what will the police do? Because in this situation, we will find that in many cases where the police helped the minority to perpetrate their acts.
Yes. There were video evidences now of where elections were held, and then you have a policeman sitting, folding his arms, and watching thugs coming to do whatever they were doing, and he did not carry out his responsibility.
Police escorting snatch ballot buses. And
somebody wants to tell me that this country is still
and
intact.
The police themselves that will be crying that their salary is not enough.
You can just imagine.
Serious.
I saw a video on the internet recently, Mr. Victor, about I think it's in Anambra, somewhere in is it Anambra or Imo State? I think one of these Igbo states. During these gubernatorial elections, everybody, I think there was hardly a person in that polling unit that wasn't with a 2x2 stick. Like you could see the anger in the body of everybody.
Kano State,
waiting
2x2 like this.
Waiting patiently for that thug that would show up his face and say, "I want to snatch ballot paper," and see if you will not meet your ancestors. And I'm like, this is exactly what we should be doing. This is the spirit. Because by the time we are the majority.
Oh, but
Mr. Victor, we are the majority because we cannot allow minority to come and oppress the majority. How can a crowd of over 200 people be intimidated by a group of just 10 people?
Yes, because they, like in Lagos,
because of God,
they have, it is their land, the one that happened in Lagos, because we already know that what happened in Lagos.
We are all Nigerians, first of all. Before you became a Lagosian, you were first a Nigerian. There is no Lagosian passport, Mr. Victor. There is no Akwa Ibom passport. There is no Riversman passport. What we have is a Nigerian passport.
And it's very, very sad. It is very, very sad and pitiful that even the president-elect even told that part by making some utterances to put that, division between the Igbos and the Yoruba. What then are we going to expect in the next 4 years?
It's so sad. By May, when they hand over power to him, we should know what to expect.
What will then happen?
We should know what to expect. Well, we'll be moving straight now to our next paper now, which is the Guardian newspaper. Headlines in the Guardian here says, protest as INEC suspends election results in Adamawa, Abia, Enugu. Protests as INEC suspends election results in Adamawa, Abia, Enugu. Okay. Here on page 29, we have INEC declares Kebbi gubernatorial election inconclusive. INEC declares Kebbi gubernatorial election inconclusive. That story is on page 29. On page 15, we have lingering economic challenges push 44 firms of NGX list in 7 years. Lingering economic challenges push 44 firms off NGX list in 7 years. Now, that story is on page 15 of the Guardian newspaper. And on page 29, over now to page 29 again, we have thugs invade Kano APC Secretariat. Thugs invade Kano APC Secretariat. That's on page 29. And on page 7 here we have how Edoja's petition stopped declaration of Guber election winner in Enugu. How Edoja's petition stopped declaration of Guber election winner in Enugu. That's on page 7 of The Guardian. On page 12 here we have dissecting the Supreme Court in Lawan versus Machina. Dissecting the Supreme Court in Lawan versus Machina. That story is on page 12. And on page 15, lastly, on page 15 of The Guardian, we have contributors receive 208 billion naira as unemployment benefits in 6 months. Contributors receive 208 billion naira as unemployment benefits in 6 months. That's in the world of business on page 15 of The Guardian newspaper. Mr. Victor, protest as INEC suspends election results in Adamawa, Abia, and Enugu. I'd like to get your reaction to this headline.
Okay, let me start with Enugu. Okay, the result was suspended because you have a Kano East, okay, because of 2 local governments, Kano East and Nsukka. Now, the Kano East result, there was this information that, yes, first of all, the result was delayed before it now got to the collation center, okay? Which we know that many a times now, what these people do, these riggers, what they do is they delay. They delay so that they go and get a new result sheet.
And
and rewrite everything to a new result sheet. Okay? So, yes, it takes them time. In fact, there was this even report that one of the local governments, that the officer, the collation officer, or sorry, not the collation officer, the collation officer for the prime party that is rigging the the local government had to make a trip to Abuja and come back. What? Yes. So after Saturday, okay, the person went to Abuja. They were holding the result to held everybody a hostage, in quotes, soft hostage. The person went to Abuja, came back and continued doctoring the result. Maybe the person went to Abuja to get result sheets. I just don't know.
Now, my question is, Mr. Victor, my question is, this suspension of results in Adamawa, Abia, and Enugu, are these the only states so far that...
No, they are supposed to suspend every result in the country.
So,
now, if you want
why leaving out just... Why?
There's confusion in the land. There's confusion in the land. Like even this one that
even the presidential polls, Mr. Victor, there were so much evidences to cancel that fraudulent election.
How many times will you even do the election in Nigeria?
An election
even the presidential election,
that billions were spent. Billions. More than 300 billion was spent to carry out an election. This shambolic thing we saw.
Serious.
This shambolic thing we saw.
So what happened? What happened in Kano East? Okay.
God.
The opposition, will you call it opposition? They are not opposition. They are looking. PDP is looking like opposition in Enugu, but they are not. But the report coming from LP, that's Labour Party, is that the Kano East results that they posted. When I mean they submitted results that had over 30,000 votes for PDP. Okay, but do you know that the accredited voters were just only 7,000?
Hey.
Hey. Yeah?
Hey,
so, but what these people also do is that they know that they are wrong, bro. They know that it will not fly. But what they do now is they throw in the result like that and tell you, go to court. Go to court.
God, Mr. Victor.
Because they know that they have the power. They
Mr. Victor, Mr. Victor.
For the judiciary.
Oh God.
Judiciary. If judiciary fails, please, Amadioha should not fail
Mr. Victor,
in killing people.
Have you seen why? once upon a time, if you remember, I made a suggestion, or should I say, I asked a question. I said, is it possible for these politicians to swear, not by God this time, but by other gods?
They should come to my village.
Is it possible
We have those gods.
for these politicians, while being sworn into office by other gods?
Our constitution should be rewritten. Should be readdressed.
Because they are beginning to take the
yes.
mercy of God
Yes.
for granted. For
They
granted.
should swear to Ogu. They should swear to...
Oh my God.
They should come to my village and to swear
Because
to
they
our
know,
own ancestors.
after all, when I swear, what's there? You don't do it. God is a merciful God.
Merciful God.
At the end of the day, I'll go to church, pray for forgiveness, and that's the end of it.
Pay my tithe.
Let them swear by other gods who are quick to anger and will not hesitate to smite you where you stand. And let's see how this country... I keep saying this. This country needs strong and strict hands. That is the way forward in this country. Because it's obvious that even our judiciary obviously has failed us. The person that... The judge that ordered that INEC, Labour Party and Peter Obi be given permission to access INEC results, INEC materials, in almost all the states. That judge was moved the next day. He was moved the next day to Port Harcourt. Why was he moved? Why was he moved? And you are telling me, wait. And you want me to believe that there is hope for Peter Obi going to court? These people own the court. These people tell the court what to do, what to say, the judgments to make. Is it not obvious? We are currently running a dictatorship government, a military government, under the disguise of a democratic nation, democratic government. It is very, very glaring that right now Nigeria is not a democratic country. The people don't decide their leaders. Things are going wrong, and nothing can be done. You try to voice out. You are attacked. You are even killed. What is going on?
Oh.
And just like you said, we shouldn't be calling God now because I think it has gotten to a point where we have to take our country back with our own hands, and we really need to start very, very soon, as soon as possible.
Please, lastly, before you end, Abia State. Abia State is very unique to me, so I need to talk about Abia State.
Okay.
So, Abia State, still, the LP are the ones, in quotes, suffering the issues right now. Because, in Obingwa, the result of Obingwa is majorly the issue now because of the same one. The collation center in Obingwa was attacked, okay, and the results were not able to come out. In as much as yes, it was attacked though, but there are also strong indications that the PDPs were the ones that attacked the collation center because of the results coming out there.
We're not favoring them.
Okay, and they wanted. Those are the allegations from LP. So that there are indications that they want to now use that particular Obingwa vote to manipulate it so that the result will be too high. That as in for them to score so high that Obingwa can now be used as the divider or the decider rather of the result. So that's what is happening.
Mr. Victor, do you know that before I go on a quick break right now?
Hey there, are you looking to record your videos, do your voiceovers and take your professional pictures? Look no further. With our state-of-the-art newsroom, photography, kitchen for our food content creators and exclusive children's studio, we certainly can deliver the best studio experience. Our carefully designed studio space can bring your diverse creative content ideas to life. We aim to consistently serve value to our customers far and wide. Come, let Tharv Media give life to your dreams. Tharv Media, a slice of infotainment.
Okay, you're welcome back from that short break. Over now to our next and last paper for today. We shall be looking at the Daily Sun newspaper. Headlines here, the Daily Sun here. The boldest headline, Daily Sun, is on page 6. And we have it. This one says, governorship election results. tension in Abia, Enugu, Adamawa, Taraba, Kano, Nasarawa, and Kaduna. 2 protesters killed in Lafia. Residents defy curfew to celebrate NNPP victory in Kano. More of this headline is on page 6 of the Daily Sun. And over now to page 10 of Daily Sun, we have to page 27, I beg your pardon, we have a 10th Assembly. Group makes case for Southeast Southwest. 10th Assembly. Group makes case for Southeast South Northwest. That story is on page 27. On page 5, we have top NCAA staff in EFCC net over alleged 2 billion naira fraud. Top NCAA staff in EFCC net over alleged 2 billion naira fraud. That story is on page 5 of Daily Sun. On page 27, we have a Senate presidency. Niger Delta Group condemns a campaign against Senator Kalu. Senate presidency. Niger Delta Group condemns campaign against Senator Kalu. That's on page 27 of the Daily Sun. On page 26, we have Sanwo-Olu raises salary by 20% to workers. Sanwo-Olu raises salary by 20% to workers. Okay, that's on page 2 of that's on page 26. I beg your pardon, Daily Sun. On page 2, we have customers swoop on banks as cash shortage, e-channel glitches persist. Customers swoop on banks as cash shortage, e-channel glitches persist. That's on page 2 of Daily Sun. And lastly, here in Daily Sun, we have EU thumbs down for Gerber State Assembly polls. EU thumbs down for Gerber State Assembly polls. That's the read on page 26 of the Daily Sun. That's the much we can take in the Daily Sun for today. Mr. Victor, I'd like to get your reaction to the headline on page 26. EU thumbs down for Gerber State Assembly polls. Please react to this.
Yeah, just like we've been saying from the start of the show till now, the elections were just enveloped with violence and rigging and all manner of shenanigans that will come from a Nigerian politician. So yeah, the EU, they are out and they've given a thumbs down to the election. But this is not the first time, or is it the second time? No. Since 1999, we've been having issues like this. And why this one is hitting us so hard because of one, the resources that were spent.
My
Secondly,
God.
the promises.
My God.
The promises.
My God.
Thirdly, the Electoral Act that we thought that it's coming to end the issues that we face. We did not know that the worst was going to happen. The worst election in my own standards since 1999 has happened to Nigeria. And people, the way people have died, the way people are, and oh come on, even with the will I say huge usage of the social media, it has exposed many persons. Even at that, even with the truth showing everywhere, the politicians are also denying the truth. What is happening in Syria? It is so glaring. In fact, we don't even need the EU to tell us. Okay, but yes, what will also happen, or which has also started happening, these governors will come out and say, oh, thank you, my people, for voting me. Oh, my opposition, please come together. Let's form a unity government. Can you imagine? Can you imagine such deceit? Okay, so it is no new news. The election has failed. The police, shockingly, the police shocked me the more. Okay, even
do we have a police in Nigeria?
One of the northern states that the police has reported that the military killed the policemen. So even the military, I don't know which one. Could it be that also another thing? Could it also, no, I can't even shy away from a video I also saw where the military were in quotes kind of involved. Yes, so I also saw videos where the military came in Lagos, where they came to some particular area and they rejuvenated people. People were very, very happy to receive them because they came to help them. So, but that does not, that's also telling
help
you
them
that
in what
there
aspect?
are many eggs. There are many bad eggs in the police, in the military. But unfortunately, the police has the majority of the bad eggs. Why am I saying this? Because the videos that we are seeing, the police, yes, they were the ones in charge of this election in terms of security. first to call before any other. But at the end of the day, what then happened? You saw them enabling Nigerian police, enabling riggers, Nigerian police. Oh God. So
And shortly before we call it a day, Mr. Victor, let me get your reaction to Sanwo-Olu raising a salary by 20%.
Oh yes,
to workers.
It's a good thing, no?
Is it an act of eye service
it's totally good, okay? Especially for the innocent ones out there.
Mr. Victor, I don't know about you, but personally, I see this move as just a move that was taken to appease the minds of people.
No, they need to appease the mind of the people. That should be their target right now. Start it right now because they know that
people are angry.
They forcefully put themselves
in
that
position. So
what do they need to do? They need to go out there because if it continues this way,
but it also take away the fact that you forced yourself on the people.
Yes, the pressure is too much on Nigeria. Look at you even mentioned about banks. Go to the banks now. Everybody's there. See, the government have failed. So people are a little more. I say a little more drop of pain on people. God, it might be just too explosive for these people to handle. So they need to start.
That might just
now.
break the camel's back, right?
Yes, they need to start now. Start right now to make people happy. So this 20% for me. If it's the people's money, give them their money at the end of the day. But we also will not shy away from the fact that many civil servants were also used as thugs. Many civil servants, we saw them. There was one during the presidential,
it's a shame.
The presidential election.
It's a shame.
A civil servant that was daring Igbos that if they dare come near here and vote for any other party outside ABC, that they will see shege. So, my brother.
Hey, Mr. Victor, I think the state of this country at this moment deserves another hey from me. So I'm going to say, hey, Mr. Victor. Run. But don't run to anywhere, guys. Thank you so much for staying around. Thank you so much for staying faithful to your screen up until this time. Mr. Victor, thank you so much for coming through.
Thank you,
I really appreciate your time with me on the program today. Thank you so much, my wonderful viewers. I am so grateful that you were able to watch us up until this time. Without you, this program won't be possible. But this is the end of the newspaper review for today. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Cyril Aloysius, and please, if you haven't subscribed, please do so and turn on your notification bells after subscribing so you will get notified when we come online and drop new videos. You can also do well to check us out on different social media platforms. You can look us out on YouTube. We are TAP TV on YouTube. On Instagram, TAPTV_NG on Instagram. On Facebook and Twitter is TAP TV. Thank you so much once again. Until I come your way again next time, do enjoy the rest of your day. Bye for now.